It's time for your questions on coronavirus. This is where we talk about the latest medical breakthroughs. We get medical experts to answer your questions on COVID-19 in this rapidly evolving situation. Joining us today, Dr. Sachin Kumar Gupta, consultant diabetologist, Krishna Diabetes Clinic, Bhopal. Dr. Soumitra Kumar, Professor and Head of Department of Cardiology, VIMS Kolkata, is also with us. Thank you both very much indeed for joining us on the show. Let me kick this off by asking you a little more. We've had the Prime Minister now meeting Chief Ministers for suggestions on what to do post the 17th of May when this current extension of the lockdown ends. And from what we're hearing at this point, it seems to indicate that there is going to be a lockdown extension, at least for the designated red zones. And in your opinion, is that the best way forward? If, whoever would like to answer that question.
Yeah. Can I take that?
Yes,
yeah.
Certainly, Dr. Kumar. Go ahead.
So it should be a very graduated easing of the lockdown that should take place. It's absolutely relevant that the lockdown should continue in the red zone because the numbers are increasing every day in terms of the total number of infected cases and the fatality as well. But at the same time, the economy has to be looked into, so we can have a graded easing of the lockdown in the green and the yellow zones, and with a strict vigilance so as to see that there is not a sharp resurgence of cases in those areas. So there has to be a strict vigilance and a graded easing of the lockdown. So there has to be a perfect balance between the two, and we have to find out what's happening.
Dr. Gupta, given the fact that we are now going to be seeing trains, for instance, resuming from today, there'll be 30 trains to and from Delhi, so there will be more movement. There have been also all the special migrant trains or Shramik trains that have already crisscrossed the country. So given these developments, in your mind, what are the precautions that now need to be taken? Are we looking at a period where more public transport can gradually be eased, or is it still too early to do that?
Yeah, no, because looking to economy and everything, we have to start, we have to resume to our normal life. And if we just keep social distancing, that should be very clear in trains. If all they use mask, and they should be aware that if they keep these things apart, they'll keep these things, keep social distancing, wash hands, then there is no problem. We can have safe journey. And this would prevent this multiplication of virus also.
All right, we have our first caller from Hyderabad. Dr. Ramanna Rao is with us. Dr. Rao, welcome to the show. Do ask your question.
Good morning to all of you, madam.
Good morning. Please go ahead with your question.
My question is, everybody is worrying about the increasing the number of COVID cases in spite of our serious efforts. My question is, what is the minimum percentage of tests we have to do in the context of India? We are having 1.3 billion. We can say so that we have done enough tests. I repeat. What is the minimum percentage
we understood your question. Thank you,
do?
Dr. Rao. We've understood. Dr. Soumitra Kumar, he's asking, yes, we're hearing about states ramping up testing, but, when we have a population of 1.3 billion, how much testing is enough?
Looking at our population, the more we do is better. I mean, I can't tell you in terms of percentages, but it has to be increased from the current level. The number of cases, the rise that you see in the number of cases apparently has been also due to the number of testings that we have been doing for the last 3 weeks or so. So, I mean, previously we are not doing adequate testing, and that number of testing still has to go up. Some figures say that if we are doing around 2 lakh testings every month, that should be somewhere close to reality. But in a country like this, and given its population density, the higher number of tests, the better. And I've heard that there is some rapid antigen testing that is also coming our way. So if that gets a clinical approval by the concerned authorities, that should go a longer way, because that is a much simpler test, gives the results very quickly, and even a person sitting at home can do it. So that should be a real boost also.
All right, let's get a few more questions. Daya is calling us from Mumbai. Daya, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, madam. Whether I have to give suggestion or you will give the suggestion?
All right, certainly, go ahead.
Yeah, this is regarding with the what the precautions should we take regarding in the lockdown or maybe in the COVID period, post-COVID period. So I don't understand. Hello.
Yes, go
Can
ahead,
you
we
hear
can
us?
hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand the modalities. Hello.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I don't understand the modalities of the government when there was a 500 cases. 500 cases in India, they have imposed lockdown. When there is a 5,000 cases, they have given the task of Thali Bajao, Ghanti Bajao. Then when there is a 10,000, then Atishbazi.
All
When
right,
there are
so let
40,000,
me, we're short on time, so let me summarize that for you. You're saying that when cases are increasing and we've already been in lockdown for 40 odd days, why is it that the government is now talking about easing restrictions? Am I right?
whatever the government is doing, that has to be done in the first lockdown. So at least all the healthy people should migrate to their hometown. Now you are migrating those people who are... So you are already, crossed the timeline.
Okay, so Daya has questions about the timeline. I mean, I don't think any of us are really equipped to answer that. These are questions, these are decisions that are taken in larger economic interest, taking the whole country into consideration. Perhaps, a government representative would be better placed to answer a question like that. I'm going to go on to our next question. Sudesh is with us from Navi Mumbai. Sudesh, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning everybody. My question is that what is the impact of rain on coronavirus?
Okay, so you're asking, for instance, once the monsoon is upon us, is it going to get aggravated necessarily? Is that your question?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Dr. Soumitra Kumar, if you would like to answer that? Do we know at this point?
Now, rain per se means two things. That is the cooling of the temperature and at the same time probably a rise in humidity. Now, you see, heat apparently has, we had thought that with the onset of summer, there would be lesser number of cases. It has not happened because pandemics are different from the seasonal outbreaks that we have. But definitely heat has one effect that whenever the virus is on a surface, say if the temperature is between 21 to 23 degrees centigrade, it can survive for 72 hours. But if the temperature rises to anything close to 35 degrees centigrade, it can barely survive beyond 60 minutes, I'm sorry. So, heat has some protective effect, although it has not been so profound in case of COVID. And another thing is the humidity. If the humidity rises, the droplets settle to the ground faster.
Right.
So there is less chance of infection. So we really have to see whether rain has some mixed kind of effect in terms of lowering of temperature and the rise of humidity. We really cannot predict at this point.
Dr. Gupta, anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, because this is very new virus, and we know that this is corona, and the other virus, they also behave differently. So we have to wait for this monsoon to see how this behaves.
Right.
Although in some countries there where is high temperature, still there are this corona. So we just can't say.
All right. I think it's wise to be at this point, circumspect, because there are so many aspects to COVID-19 that we don't know about at this point. Waqar is joining us from Shivpuri. Welcome to the show, Waqar. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning, ma'am. I just need to ask one question to Dr. Soumitra Kumar.
Okay, go ahead.
What precautions should a HOCM patient, hyperobstructive cardiomyopathy patient, should take in this pandemic from COVID-19? And what's the effect of fasting on immunity? Means, does fasting have any adverse effect on immunity? That's my question.
The first question was regarding cardiomyopathy, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, any patient with an established cardiovascular disease, be it any kind of cardiomyopathy or valvular heart disease or congenital heart disease, or for that matter, even simple hypertension, doesn't expose the patient particularly to higher rate of infection. But once the patient, acquires the infection, definitely he or she is at a much higher risk of developing severe form of the illness and may become even critical. So those patients are must take all the precautions not to acquire the infection in the first place. And if they do acquire, they should be must undergo very close surveillance. Regarding fasting, I don't know, I mean, in a normal individual, I don't see fasting can either, I mean, do any good to you. But if you are a diabetic, then of course you should take adequate precautions not to have any episode of hypoglycemia. So that is very important. So I would advise against any kind of deviation from your normal food habits. So I mean, normal food habits with adequate intake of fruits and vegetables, just to give you the kind of supply of vitamins and minerals, would greatly help you in terms of acquiring immunity.
So, Dr. Gupta, would you advise against fasting at this time?
Yeah. I just wanted to say something because I am diabetologist. You know, fasting should not be done in this corona time. Anything, even weight loss medicines, and if you are doing dieting, that is not allowed, because we want that our immunity should be boosted up. And if there is fasting, definitely our immunity will come down, and this would invite coronavirus. So no fasting, eat healthy, eat enough amount of, keep yourself hydrated, keep drinking water, and can take fruits also, but no fasting in this time.
All right, that's a very categorical answer then for Waqar. But let's also move on now to Alok Guha, who's on the phone line with us from Solan. Alok, go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Ankita.
Good
morning, doctors.
Yes, go ahead,
Hello.
please.
Yes, my question is very simple. That is, we all know that corona is incubating inside the cells. Okay. Now, when a patient is dying of corona, so obviously the cells are also dying. So after the death, why it is wrapped in a black polythene for cremation?
Dr. Kumar, if you want to answer that, why are so many precautions taken when COVID patients die? I mean, cremations sometimes take place elsewhere, not in normal crematoriums. There's a full protocol to be followed. I think his question is on that.
You see, your question is very pertinent. I mean, we are, being very overcautious regarding dead bodies, but certain degree of caution still needs to be in place, because you see there can be some secretions still emanating from the dead body, which can be contagious for the health workers and the frontline workers involved in the cremation process or the burial process. So some kind of packaging or covering the bodies has to be in place. But one thing has come clear: unless one is doing some kind of autopsy, so where the particular rate of infection, in fact, in today's newspaper itself, the government has advised against any kinds of autopsy on dead bodies affected with COVID. So, I mean, that particularly increases the risk of transmission. Other than that, generally when a person expires, all the catheters, nasogastric tubes and other channels are generally taken off. So the risk is not very high, but still all protective measures should be in place so that the chances of transmission is still minimized.
All right, we have another caller on the phone line. Rakesh is calling us from Gurugram. Rakesh, go ahead.
Rakesh Chavda from Gurgaon. I want to know what is the Chinese people doing these days, not going to the hospital. They won't take in a day 3 times hot water, and they are cured.
All right, you're saying China has been particularly successful in restricting new cases after it stamped out the original wave. I think if I understand correctly, your question is about whether hot water is effective. Well, drinking hot water, I imagine. Dr. Gupta, if you want to take that?
Yeah. There are so many home remedies, and these are all presumptions because we do not know much. So even if you take hot water, sips of hot water, and because this enters through nasopharynx and droplets through mouth also. So if you take hot water, maybe some people are there advising some kadas and so many things, and avoiding all cold things, ice cream like other things. So there is no problem if you take hot water. Maybe something can work.
All right, fair enough. One of our viewers has written in with a question, and I'm going to read this out for you. Azhar from Mumbai asks that he's having repeated throat infections in the course of this lockdown. And he's worried that, he hasn't been tested, but he's wondering whether this can be COVID-19 or not. But if he's had one throat infection, he feels he's recovered from it, but he's had it again. Dr. Kumar, if you'd like to sort of address this question.
Yeah, I mean, 80% of the cases with COVID have mild symptoms. So, yeah, I mean, one really cannot say that none of these sore throats that our caller is having is not due to corona. It may not be all of these episodes, because it is unlikely that he will be having recurrent coronavirus infections. But since he is having the problem, our strong advice for him would be to have himself tested.
All right. Azhar, we hope that answers your question. Shankar is with us on the phone line from Bengaluru now. Shankar, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Shankar from Bangalore. So my question to the experts, right? So right now, a patient is like worried he might contract corona if he goes to a hospital. And also, the same way the hospitals is also worried that if they treat them, so there are chances that he might be able to contract the virus. So how do we go about the balance?
Dr. Gupta, is visiting hospitals still a complete no-no, especially if you have some other symptoms or some other medical problem that needs treatment?
Yeah, very important question. Because looking to this situation, government has approved telemedicine from this 25th March. So for small problems, minor problems, you can have telemedicine from by doctors. And you know that if you can avoid going to hospital, that is good. Because hospitals, you do not know how many patients there are, some of COVID patients, because 80% patient, they are asymptomatic. So you can't predict that you are going to a hospital and may catch the infection. So government has postponed all elective surgeries also. So better would be to have telemedicine for problems. And if you can avoid going to hospital, that is the best thing. Telemedicine is wonderful and can solve your problems also.
Dr. Kumar, would you advocate telemedicine also? And, what about situations where telemedicine is just not enough?
Yeah, I mean, the doctor and the team can decide which are the cases where the patient needs to be actually needs to have a actual physical examination or more tests. So, barring those cases, as Dr. Gupta said, I mean, telemedicine is very advisable, very much advisable under the circumstances. But at the same time, I would say that emergencies should never be ignored. A person having chest pain should not sit at home and waste valuable time, because that itself, if it is a heart attack, is going to kill the patient, or like other symptoms also, and cancer patients. I mean, a delay of a month or two for any cancer patient can be disastrous.
Right.
So patients afflicted with severe diseases should not, wait at home for the situation to subside, and they should avail of the hospital facilities. But people with relatively chronic diseases who are stable but need minor modifications of medicines or things that can be sorted out over telemedicine, they should resort to that.
But Dr. Kumar, do you see this as a bit of a catch-22 situation, because people who are already immunocompromised and perhaps need medical help and intervention the most are also most at risk when they go to hospitals?
Yeah, that's true. But as I said, as long as you take the precautions, both from the patient side and from the health worker side, they should be given the best of protection. But at the same time, as I said, if the disease, that is the non-COVID disease, requires immediate treatment and attention, that should not be neglected. We cannot have people dying from non-COVID diseases at the same time. So, I mean,
right.
all those patients also have to be given.
Yes.
People with
Yes,
chronic
indeed.
kidney disease requiring dialysis, can you, advise them not to undergo dialysis at this point? They will die anyway if they don't get dialysis.
Yes. All right, one last caller that we have time for. Priyam is with us, just joining us from Hyderabad. Priyam, go ahead. Priyam, if you can hear us, you can ask your question now.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Dr. Sir. I'm PM Rao from Hyderabad. Recently, I read one news item that Italians, by their testing, they found out that COVID-19 is not pneumonia, it is from thrombosis. Will you kindly confirm or clarify it, doctor?
All right. Would
that?
either of you like to answer that? A recent study, he says, done in Italy, says that in fact more patients who have contracted COVID-19 have had fatalities not because of pneumonia but because they also had thrombosis, and that it caused thrombosis.
Yeah, our caller is absolutely right. It is a prothrombotic state where people tend to have thrombosis in both the large vessels and the small blood vessels of the body. And this affects the lung tissue, and this affects the heart as well. So he is absolutely right. This is a prothrombotic state, and in fact, there is another facet to it. In this kind of a state, people have a risk of thrombosis, and at the same time, if the thrombotic components in the body is consumed too much, we have a kind of a situation where patients tend to have bleeding also towards the end of the disease process. But fortunately for us, the bleeding complications from in COVID patients have been minimal, but they have been shown in both on clinical studies and in autopsy studies to have had thrombosis in the small blood vessels and the large blood vessels in the body.
Right. All right. One last question. Jeeva Anand is with us from Chennai. Jeeva, go ahead.
Jeevanandam, I am working at a Chennai airport and I am a housekeeper. And my question is, I have a doubt regarding to toilets. That does urine and the excreta passed by humans does have a breathing sense to get infected on virus. And also, I could see most public places have European water closet, which is not safe and hygiene during all periods due to the seat infection. If this is the right time to turn into Indian water closet, or what other suggestion you can?
Okay, interesting question. Dr. Gupta, Jeeva, who works at the Chennai airport as a housekeeper, says he's worried, cleaning of toilets at this point. How safe is it? And can the virus, in fact, exist in sort of feces and human excreta?
Yeah, there are some studies and they have found virus in a human excreta also. This is true. So he has to take care of everything because personal hygiene and everything, because excreta can transmit. This is one study, but that is not very common. And this episode is not because of feces transmission, but since he is cleaning the toilets and everything, because the virus, they stay on surfaces also. So he has to take very proper care and hygiene, observe hygiene so one should not get infection.
Right.
This is very important.
All right. Quick last comments, Dr. Kumar. I do have to wrap up this show.
Yeah, I mean, as we are heading towards 17th of May, and we'll have to take care of life, and as everyone thinks of the livelihood also. So we have to get back to normalcy, but with a great deal of caution. And it is not time that we have the lockdown probably eased up in all corners of the country, but at least in some pockets which have not shown any fresh infections.
All right. We leave it at that. Thanks very much indeed. And to all our viewers, we'll be back at 8:30 with answers to your questions. Do keep watching Medical Experts here to answer your questions on COVID-19 at all times.